Matt Kennedy, wasn't this a story? I think this was a really good story for us in 2021. I was unsure as to where he was at the start of the year. I really didn't know. Like, where is he going to fit in? I think, Will Setterfield had really shown in 2020 that he was the guy that we were going to move forward with in terms of that inside presence. And, he was our most improved player in 2020. And I really was unsure where Kennedy sat, within the group and where his place was. And I wonder if he did as well, because he was on the outer, it seemed, playing in the twos. But the beauty of this story is he just kept plugging along and waiting for his opportunity. And I really think this is an underrated player for us, or an underrated situation for us, because you need people in the group who have done it the hard way. I guess he came into the league as a hyped up player, came to Carlton as a hyped up player, and then all of a sudden there's a big reality check and it's like, wow, it's almost like he had to restart and have like a rebirth. And the knocks on him were his speed and his pace and whatnot, but I thought once he came into the side, he played 13 games. Once he came into the side, he really did show us what he was capable of. He played early in the year, but it was really from round 14 onwards when he played against the Giants, which was a terrible game and a really bad game, but he was absolutely the shining light that night. And fair play to him. I mean, you got to be. I'm proud of him. I'm stoked for him. I'm happy that he stuck with it. He stayed resilient, and it's something that's important, I think, for the group, that they can draw inspiration from. A guy that things weren't going his way, and rather than turning his toes up and having a sook about it, he just kept going. And once his opportunity came, he grabbed it with both hands. And I thought the way he tackled, I thought the way he, really enforced himself into contests was great. And even, they talk about the speed. I think his speed and burst out of contest improved. I mean, he didn't look slow at all this year. And fair play to him. I'm pretty happy with how his season ended. His second half of the year was obviously the big one. And all of a sudden you look at him and you say, well, you've got to keep him on the list. Well, I say it anyway. You definitely got to keep him on the list. And there's something to work with there. And, at the end of the day, his averages are, sort of where they should be at this point in his career, if not more. But I think because he's been on the outer for so long, he comes and has a season like he had this year, and you start thinking, oh, okay, well, this is great. The challenge is obviously, can he keep going to another level? Can he stay consistent? And I think he can. I believe in everyone. I always look at the players and see the best in them. So I believe he has a role to play. I think as we start moving into this new era without, the likes of Mark Murphy, and you look at like an Ed Kerner, who you would assume is going to start moving out of that midfield and into another part of the ground, well, that opportunity arises there. And I think the notion of can Cripps and Kennedy and Setterfield, coexist? Well, I don't know. I mean, my inkling is that I don't think so, but I don't know is the real answer. And you come back to that coaching conversation again. Are we going to be playing with three tall forwards? Because that was very much a David Teague, trait. That's what he wanted to do. That was his philosophy. And are we going to do that next year? Are we going to have just two key pillars and maybe a Kennedy and a Jack Silvani rotating in that midfield? I don't really know. There's a lot of unknown, but what I do know is the effort and the application and the consistency that I saw from Kennedy as a fan, and I'm pretty happy with where he's at. I think there is definitely room for growth with all of them. You don't have an 8-win season and not ask for growth from everyone on the list. But I think he definitely put himself back into the frame as opposed to being on the outer, and fair play to him. So what am I looking for next year? What am I looking for? We're looking for a lot next year. Everyone's got to improve. That's the reality. I think if he can lock down a midfield spot and pinch hit in the forward, whether he's rotating with a Jack Silvani, as I mentioned, or if it's a Jack Martin type, I'm not sure. But I definitely think he's someone we can look to really fill that hole that Ed Kerner will eventually leave. I think he's put his hand up. I think Will Setterfield, for what it's worth, will come back into the mix and improve and put his hand up as well. And I think it's good to have depth in that position. I mean, there's a little bit of a conversation around, should we go get a Luke Dunstan type? Well, I don't think so. I think between Kennedy and Setterfield, we've got that Luke Dunstan type of player. So those are just my thoughts on the year. Pretty happy with him, but let me know what you think. How did you see his year? Were you like me at the start, where you'd given up, or did you still believe that he could do it? I know, shout out to my man Rick Volpe, who sponsors Matt Kennedy. Always believed in him. We've had great conversations with him, at the VFL games and whatnot. So shout out to you, mate. Your boy got it done, and you must be stoked. So we'll chat about it in the comments, and we'll go from there.